I'm Olivia. I am a wildlife and travel photographer. My goal is to inspire people to give a shit.
I'm Pat. Spent 10 years in the Marine Corps. I have strong views on conservation and the U.S. Constitution.
We will discuss topics like yoga,
How to gut a deer and not fuck up your meat.
orgasmic meditation,
Full body orgasms.
life after divorce.
Life after death.
Why the fuck do we still use plastic bags?
Why can't everyone learn guitar in school?
What do you look for in the perfect photo?
What's in my food?
What's in my mouth?
We might also dabble in a little bit of motorcycles. That's right. She rides a Harley, bitches. While our upbringings drastically differed,
Our ability to communicate and be open-minded has allowed us to strengthen our relationship. So this podcast is here for you to broaden your horizons, possibly change your perspective on a topic. So we hope you enjoy listening to The Hunter and Hippie. Welcome to episode number 22. As you can tell if you're watching, we are not in our usual spot.
this is our makeshift studio for the time being.
We don't know how long.
Events in life.
Events in life, and we're about to talk about the said event in life that brought us to this space.
I mean, we're happy to have the space, and it's awesome, but it's also not our home. So,
Oh, and I'm Olivia.
oh, I'm Pat.
We forgot about that.
Yeah.
This one might be a little discombobulated.
A little different.
I feel discombobulated. Every aspect of my life feels just a little more hectic. And we just had Thanksgiving, and Christmas is right around the corner, New Year's Eve. All the holidays seem to be crammed all at the end of the year, and we are not going to be home. And why we are not going to be home, if you follow us on social media, you probably already got a little glimpse of what we're dealing with currently. We had a very sudden attic fire, electrical fire, and that caused us to be forced to move out of our house for we don't know how long, weeks, months.
Unforeseeable future.
Yeah. So this episode, we're going to talk about what happened, how we navigated, telling our kids, how we dealt with the stress together, and how we helped each other through low points. So that's pretty much what the episode will talk about.
Yeah. Our current hardship.
Yes, current hardship, because we talked in our first episode about life after trauma, and we've talked about past situations. We are currently going through this, so we thought that maybe we could shed some light on effective ways for you if you go through something that you can learn from what we have to say.
Yeah. Why do you talk like a
Because
robot?
I forgot what I was saying.
Fuck.
Yeah, I had coffee. I just feel brain dead. Like,
I kind of want more.
I know, but we'll get more. We just shook our ass before we started recording because
Your attitude sucks.
your attitude sucks too. I just started my period last night.
Yeah.
I
Eat
have.
some chocolate. Have some coffee.
We don't have chocolate.
Yes, you do.
Where? Oh. No, I have like a quarter bar of dark chocolate, and that's it. That's not going to sustain us.
Well, then we're going to the fucking store
Yeah, we
because I'm
are.
not dealing with this all day.
Good. Okay. All right. Well, now that we know that my moon cycle is currently happening.
Gushing.
God, I'm sorry.
Shark Week. Hoo-ha.
To all the few men that listen, you probably have a woman in your life and they deal with this, so it's probably comical to you.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah. Before we get going into the seriousness and the shittiness of our current situation, we want to first thank you for listening. We have such an amazing community, and during this hardship and sharing it on social media, we've had a lot of people reach out and just show up in ways that I was not expecting. They said, hey, if you need to move out, if you need to paint, if you need to demo, I'll help. Like, there's a lot of people that we have on, our sidelines that are cheering us on. And in this Hunter and Hippie community, you guys have just been so loving. So thank you for sharing, some concern and showing compassion for us as we go through this.
Mm-hmm. And we'd also like to thank our sponsors, Scott Jacobs Gallery and their newest event, The Art of Song, which is a event that they'll be hosting. Pretty awesome, in my opinion. You got some songwriters coming in, pretty big names that will be dropping their knowledge and their music to the community up in Deadwood. That's going to be pretty awesome, and it'll be a little private event, more intimate than your typical concerts that you run into in the Deadwood area. So it'll be nice. It'll be a nice change of pace.
Yeah, so if you do want to check it out, go to jacobsgalleryshop.com/the art of song, and you can look at who's playing and what seats are still available. There are only 136 seats per show, and each show currently has 2 performers. Like the one that's happening in April, I'm really excited about. It's Joy Williams from the Civil Wars. And as I was making the banner that's promoting all of these events, I saw that she wrote songs for Paramore.
Yeah.
And I totally fangirled. And I like the Civil Wars as well. But the fact that she wrote songs for Haley Williams and her band, I think that's pretty cool. And Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and don't let, you'll go on, you'll see ticket prices higher than a normal concert in the area, but don't let it scare you away. You're going to get hors d'oeuvres, you're going to get champagne, you're going to get private seating. So it includes
all included.
Yeah, it's all inclusive, and it'll be a good time, good date night, or a good time to
be a loner.
Be a loner.
Anyway, yes. So thank you, Jacobs Gallery, for your lovely support in our podcast as well as our current home. Thank you. So, should we just get right into what happened?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Tuesday, November 18th.
Was it the 18th?
Yep, it was.
Damn, 10 days ago.
I know. We've already been out of our house for 10 days.
It sucks.
Yeah. So, would you like to start or do you want me to?
Yeah.
I think I should start because I have the suspense, and then you'll be the Mr. Tactical when you started your tactical stuff.
That works.
Yeah, because you're good at that.
Okay.
So it was about 9:30 Tuesday morning. Hendrix didn't have school that day, so we were hanging out, getting ready for daycare, later start than normal, and he went into his bathroom to go brush his teeth. And he turned the light on, and we were in the kitchen, and I heard this crackling noise, and what I thought it was the water in the shower head bubbling. When you shut water off to a house and you turn it back on, it makes that gurgling noise.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard in my brain. So I went straight into the bathroom, and I kind of hesitantly peeked my head around, is there a monster in the shower? And I peeked my head around, and I looked up at the shower head, and I was waiting for it to do it again, and it didn't. So I think I said out loud, well, that was weird. And then I walked back into the kitchen, and then what did you do?
Yeah, so I had just gotten home from dropping Haley off at school,
mm-hmm.
and then I saw Hendrix in the bathroom, and then he was brushing his teeth. I walked past him. He shut the light off, and I saw you make a weird face. And to everybody else in the industry for electrical, the sound you heard was arcing. So the wires were arcing together and making an arc sound. I associate it with arcing because I'm used to that sound versus the water dropping, but I can see why you said it that way.
Well, we've had that shower just start dropping water, or a shower in the house. It's happened in my whole life. You just randomly have it where it releases.
Whatever's left over in the pipe will come out. Yeah. And yeah, you gave a weird face, and you were like, well, that was weird. And I was like, yeah. I was like, there's nothing. And you're like, no. And then I went in the bathroom, and I turned the light on, and I can see a little bit of a small puff of smoke. But what I thought was dust.
Oh.
Because I took the plate off of the light.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And it was full of bugs and shit.
And I was like, hey, could you knock those out? Get the bugs out while you're up there?
Yeah, and I didn't smell electrical fire. I didn't smell smoke. It was just a little plume of dust. And with that dust ended up being smoke. But I couldn't smell it at the time where I was standing, because I was on the other side of the insulation from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went on about our day. I think I was loading my truck to possibly go hunting.
Weren't you doing the pulley system to get my rooftop tent off? You were out. So I had...
No, I was I was going to hunt that morning.
Yeah. And then I had got Hendrix after his teeth were brushed, I get his lunchbox loaded, his shoes on, we get in the car. I drop him off at daycare. And as I'm driving home, we haven't, if you live in this area, we haven't had a lot of snow. And as you know, I've been like hyper aware of fire, like fire safety for like 2 weeks prior to all this.
Wildfire safety.
Wildfire safety, not house fire safety.
Yeah.
And so like 2 days before the fire, we were in the back acreage cutting down dead brush and using the logging roads, the old logging roads, clearing them. So in case there was a fire, we could get your truck or a vehicle back there to, safely put out a fire and save our house.
Yeah, we just cleared a fire path.
Yeah. So we were clearing a fire path like 2 days, 48 hours before this. So I'm driving up from dropping Hendrix off, and in my head, I said, I wonder what my fire coverage is. Like, I was driving in the neighborhood when I thought that because of how dry it is. There's been no snow and we live in the forest. And I get to the house. I start getting ready for my day because Jackson had a chiropractor appointment, my dog. And I was on the phone with my mom and I'm getting ready and I'm, doing things, gathering all my things while on the phone. And I was standing in like the center of the house and I looked out our big picture window towards the, what is that, like southeast. And I see a little bit of smoke. And all I said to myself and my mom on the phone, I said, is that smoke? And I went straight out the front door thinking that maybe you turn the smoker on because it does that, it goes that direction when you turn the smoker on. And I said, are you cooking anything? And you're like, what? No. I said, the house is on fire. Like I immediately, because of the situation, you assessing that light and everything, I just immediately knew something was wrong. And then I looked to the peak of the house, which we live in a yurt. So I'm looking at the teepee and there's a little bit of smoke just puffing out the top of it.
Constantly.
So then what did you do?
Yeah, so you were like, are you cooking? And I'm like, what? No. And I literally had my rangefinder in one hand and my archery bag in the other hand. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm not cooking. I'm leaving. And you're like, the house is on fire. And I was like, what? And because of the fan being the only thing that it could have been, I immediately went out the back door.
Parkoured.
Yeah, literally parkoured on top of, I went from the hot tub to the roof in like, I don't know how I did it.
2 jumps.
I don't know how I did it because you know how my hips and back are.
Well, yeah, but adrenaline's a good thing.
Yeah, well, I in stride stepped onto the hot tub and then was on the roof and run up to the top of the peak, and I stuck my face into the smoke because right at that time, I remember looking at the roof and going, oh, that's cool because we have a metal roof and it was wet. Well, the sunlight started hitting it and all the water was evaporating. So it looked like smoke for a half hour before this incident. So I'm like, oh, that's cool.
And you probably thought I was just
and I was like, I think you're just on this fire kick right now. And I stick my face in the vent and I'm like, oh shit, that's smoke. Like my background in law enforcement, I'm like, all right, I got to call 911.
Yeah. And this is where you get annoyingly calm. And I'm on the ground looking up at you like, are we calling 911? What are we doing? And I'm like shouting at you and you're like, I'm fucking calling right now. And I'm like,
who are you on the phone with? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm on the phone with 911.
I start spiraling because I know the dangers of it being in the attic. And a little backstory for me, I lived most of my life in San Diego, North County, San Diego. And if you guys remember, in 2007, there were so many fires in San Diego. Like it was like California was just on fire. And the ones that burnt my entire neighborhood down, except like 5 homes out of 60, were the Witch Creek fires. Do you remember that name?
No, I was a little north of you. We had fires from Santa Ana winds.
So I know how quickly a house can go up and, your life is gone. Your memories, everything is gone. So I'm in the driveway while he's calmly on the roof still, just, hey, so my house is on fire. And I'm just start like pacing and I'm making weird noises and cussing and just like, where the fuck are they? Like, it took them 15 minutes to get there, but it felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
And so I knew, okay, what can I do to help the firefighters? Like, so I, in this moment, not the best thing to have done because, and we didn't even talk about what time it was when this happened.
It was like 11.
It was 10:57 when I took a picture of you on the roof with your phone to your ear. So 9:30 to 11. So it was an hour and a half to 2 hours that this fire was burning in the attic. Like, that blows my mind because 2 hours, that should have burnt the house down.
Yeah.
And so I went into the garage and I started clearing all of the folding chairs that we had
for Thanksgiving.
We were hosting Thanksgiving and we don't have a big enough table. So we were going to use a couple folding tables, like the 6-foot tables, and, make them all pretty. And so I just immediately start moving, clearing all of the stuff and putting it into the far garage because I knew that they're probably going to have to get in the attic. So I was trying to be as helpful as I could in that moment because I was freaking the fuck out.
Yeah. And once you cleared it out, I went up in the attic with the fire extinguisher and started crawling around the joist, trying to make my way all the way across our entire length of our house to the far end of the attic of where the fire was. And as I'm getting closer and closer, the smoke is getting thicker. I can't see the insulation. So we have blown in insulation. So makes it difficult to find where the trusses are to be able to walk.
Yeah.
So I was literally on the top end of the 45-degree truss and my feet were on one truss and my arms were on another. And I was just bear crawling across the truss. Well, I smacked my leg on one of the truss and I about threw up. And
you mean your Achilles?
Yeah, my Achilles. And then when you gasp from pain, where you're like, I inhaled a ton of smoke when I did that.
And then all I hear you is...
Yeah, so I start coughing, and then you're down below.
I'm like, are you okay? Because I'm like, great, now Pat's going to be burned alive. I'm going to lose my house, lose my boyfriend. This is going to be fucking great.
Yeah, so I have fire extinguisher, and I'm like, man, like I can't even access this because there's so much, we had 12 inches of insulation, and then...
we had the addition. So you were in the new addition, which was a different roof line.
Yeah. So they had a fire break.
Smart.
A half-inch sheet of plywood that I couldn't get through. So once I reached that point, I started backing out. Well, I couldn't turn around to back out. So I had to bear crawl backwards all while I can't see shit and I'm full of smoke. And I'm like, well, this is stupid. The fire department's supposed to be here any minute.
Yep.
At least I know what to tell them now. As soon as I come out of the attic, the dude's standing right there.
Oh, really? I don't remember that. I remember seeing the first, the county sheriff.
The deputy,
truck. He pulls up, goes past our driveway, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, he's marking the house. He's securing the road. He's doing what he should be doing. Like, he's not the fire truck anyway, but he got there so much faster than the fire trucks. And so
that's why we're first responders.
I'm like cussing and I'm like, come on. And then I start to hear, we have many, like probably at 2 miles from the bottom, I'd say.
Yeah.
I start to hear sirens and a lot of them. And I'm like, oh my God, please get here. Like, please, I was just anticipating to see flames coming out the center of our roof, and it never did. The smoke did start to get thicker, and I'm just crying, and my mom's texting me and she's like, do you need me up there? And I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I'm like, just please, like, don't ask me a question. Like, I'm freaking out. For people dealing with anything like this in the future, the best thing you can do is start documenting. So I immediately, why I know it was 10:56 or 10:57 that you called is because I took a picture of you on the roof. I then took a video of where the smoke was coming out of the roof. As soon as the fire trucks arrived, I started to document them and how many, because I don't trust insurance. I believe that they're going to find any way to not cover what you're going through. And I've heard horror stories. There's so many situations like that where they're like, oh, well, technically, some loophole. So I immediately started to document, and then all the firefighters started to unload. And we quickly, like, I let you take over because I knew you are very trained in this situation.
Yeah, so when the deputy arrived on scene, he intentionally drove past the house to allow room for the fire trucks and ambulance to come in. So in an event of a structure fire, what happens is it gets broadcasted across the radio, and there's already law enforcement. Typically, they're already in their vehicles, and they're either driving around on patrol or they're at their station or department. And in this case, the deputy, who I know, was not far away. He
And you heard whose house it was.
Yeah, he ended up on his way up here, or on his way up to the house, and then saw in the call that I was the reporting party. So, which is irrelevant. Everybody responds the same way, but we had 4 surrounding agencies from departments, from the fire departments.
And a helicopter, apparently.
Well, the helicopter was already pre-staged for wildfires because there's been lack of weather.
Yeah.
But where we live, there's no fire hydrants anywhere. So in the event of a wildfire, they have brush trucks that are already pre-staged full of water. The surrounding agencies, they had the resources necessary to put out a fire that has no hydrant.
So they all came because if our house went up, the embers would have caught the dry pine, and then it would have probably taken out majority of our neighborhood and continued down the canyon into other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So we were very prepared with fire trucks, and they started to get in the house. And I said, this is the source. Like, we knew instantly from whatever that noise was that it was the fan in the bathroom. So they started to assess, and they got this thermal gun, and he's like aiming it up at the ceiling, and he's like, yep, it's up here. And then he's going into other rooms, and I'm like, oh my God, like, how bad is this going to be? And he goes into my office, and they're like, all right, it's in this ceiling. So we then start to just quickly rip out all of my camera gear, all of my equipment, like tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. So that was our priority, was immediately getting that out. The firefighters were so helpful. They were helping me carry out like my dresser and my desk and everything to get out of the way, because they were pulling the huge freaking fire hose out and dragging it into our house.
As the fire truck arrived, the deputy and I drug the hose all the way out to the street, as far as it would go, until there was no hose line left. And once I realized that's when I realized we didn't have fire hydrants. And I was like, oh shit. I assumed that there was a fire hydrant in the neighborhood, and
there's not?
No, not at all. Not a single house in the entire neighborhood has a fire hydrant.
That's alarming.
I'm running this thing out, and then they're asking me, where's the well in the event that they need more water? And I'm like, it's down there, but we're not going to be able to pump that much out. And I get back into the house, and you're moving stuff out of the office. I'm like, what the hell's going on in the office? And then the fire chief took me around. He's like, yes, the source is in the bathroom, but it's also through the other side. So then I immediately showed him Haley's room, and Haley's room was cold. So I was like, all right, good. And it's only those 2 rooms. And
then you tell me to calm down. And I'm like, no. Yeah. I was like, no, I will calm down as soon as all of our belongings are out of the way, because I didn't want to have to buy new ones.
There's that cartoon that we watch with the kids that has that lizard that's like a total fucking spaz.
Oscar?
Oscar, whatever. And it like pings off everything. And that was you. You were like, bing, 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 bing. And I was like, babe, you need to stop. And you're like, no. And
I think I said, fuck off.
Yeah. And the fire chief's like, I need you guys out of the house. And I was like, no, dude, 30 seconds. And he's like, all right, you got 30 seconds. And I'm like, babe, grab everything you want now.
We got almost everything. We didn't get a couple of my prints, which, I mean, I can reprint.
Yeah, but I mean,
we got almost everything.
Yeah, things and stuff didn't matter. It was the irreplaceable shit in the
first
rooms
thing
that I was worried about. I was like, grab your computer, grab your hard drive.
Yeah, well, and that's so because I'm experienced in fires, and when we got evacuated from my house, it was, I want to say like 6 a.m, And I remember my mom came down like kind of nervous and she said, you need to start packing what you need, like what you want. I'm like, what? She goes, we're getting evacuated right now. And I remember, the one thing that we forgot were all of our family photos. So like, nowadays you can reprint stuff,
Right.
but back in the day, if you lose that print, it's gone.
Yeah, 1 hour photo didn't keep your negatives.
Yeah, exactly. So that was one thing I knew, but I also don't have like old family photos. They're all at my parents' house, I think. And the one thing that I've said to myself, like so many times, I said, my hard drives, because I have backup hard drives and all of my photography from the last, 10, 15 years. It's all in there. So that was the first thing when they started to show that there's a fire in my freaking office. I, grabbed my camera bag and my hard drives. And that's why I just took the whole dresser out, because I knew I had my other drives in there. We got the dogs. We got them safely just secured to one of the cars. And they were just chilling the whole time. And then it was just literally waiting. And I remember I was trying to take pictures and document everything, and my hands were shaking so bad. And I didn't realize how much I was freaking out. And then
I did.
Shut up. And then I was like, why was I freaking out? I'm like, it's just because I've already been through this. So like I was reliving stuff that I thought didn't bug me. Like I wrote a journal after the 2007 fires, and it was like 8-9 pages I called it my fire diary, because we stayed in our house without power for a week. We illegally don't do this. We snuck around a roadblock because we saw on the news my best friend, my next door neighbor, her house was gone, and they used her house, well, what was left, as, B-roll for the news. And all we saw that made us recognize the property was the dad's old Porsche that he was putting back together. So we saw the Porsche, and it was like melted. The tires had literally melted off the car, and the rubble, the burning, smoking rubble of their house. And I lived in that house. That was my second home. So when we saw that, we were like, oh my God, do we have a house? And when that hit, I knew that my freaking horses were still on my property. And I was freaking out, like losing my shit, freaking out, because I'm like, my horses are going to suffocate. They're going to die. And so Sienna, who I just connected with again, we were staying at their house in Solana Beach. Her dad came with us. And if you know San Diego and you know El Camino del Norte and El Camino Real, all those roads are super, super windy.
Yeah, windy and steep.
Yep. And we're booking it because we know there's no one on the road. And we ended up getting our horses out. And Greg and I, we ran with the horses 2 miles on a highway to get them out. And there's a picture on my Facebook. It's my first profile picture. You can't even see the sun. It's the morning that this is happening. And you just see us with masks on and 2 horses. And then behind us, you see the glow of cop cars. So they were making sure everybody had evacuated, and we had snuck back in to get the horses. They had let us in. And then it was that night that we snuck back in to assess if we had a home.
Right.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah. So fire department came in. They exhausted the flame, which filled the house with some soot. Not heavy soot, but enough to where there's a layer of it on everything. They dropped the ceiling out of the bathroom, dropped the corner of the wall out of your office.
And they put it out.
Yeah, they sprayed their water.
Yeah.
Came back to me about, 20 minutes, and they were like, all right, it's out.
They were there at least an hour, though.
Yeah, they were debriefing in the driveway.
Yeah, and then they, had that huge wheelbarrow full of insulation. They hosed it down. They pulled out the fan, and they said, this is the cause. We're like, yes, we know.
Yeah.
And then it was the process of now knowing we have to assess and get out of there.
Yeah.
So what did we do then?
Your parents arrived, and then I think it was your dad had you call insurance. So you got on the phone with insurance right away.
Yeah, and I just switched our insurance that month. So like the month of November was our first month with a new insurance. And I called the agent who I know through, the area. And I was said, hey, I just want to let you know that we're currently fighting a fire in our house, just to start the process immediately, because I knew if we don't take action, it's not going to get done quickly.
Yeah. And so you got on the phone with insurance. They started a claim. I went back into the house and I was assessing the damages, thinking, all right, what are we going to have to do here? And I looked up and saw you packing, and I'm like, oh, shit, I got to pack.
Yeah.
That was like the last thing on my mind at the time.
Like I immediately thought, you were supposed to go into work that night and your chief called and said you're not coming in. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
My parents stayed there for hours with us as we literally just started to pack up the entire kitchen, all of our food, pretty much our whole closet, your whole closet, not mine. And then I thought, I'm like, oh my God, okay, like what time is it? All right, it's 12:30. I got to pick Hendrix up eventually. So I started to then think about his stuff and what could I get out of his room that would make him feel comfortable, because, we're all being uprooted so suddenly. And I knew that my son likes to know the details.
Yeah.
What happened to the dog? Well, she died. Like, I'm sorry, I'm that factual mother. I'm not going to lie to my son, because I think that, I don't know, the truth is, I don't know, that's where it is. So we started to pack. You waited for the electrician. Thank you to Spearfish Electric for coming out immediately, pretty much, and helping us assess the house and what could be turned back on, because our only source of heat was, with a thermostat, and that was no longer on.
Yeah. That was a step that I forgot until you said electrician. So just prior to the fire department arriving, I started dumping the power in the entire house. I dumped the main breaker, both sub panels, ran out to the meter and dumped the disconnect. And then right as I did that, our generator kicks on and I'm like, shit. And I turn the generator off.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that you thought of that stuff, because
I would have kept cooking until the department was there. So you left to drop stuff off here and then go pick up Hendrix. That was my drop off day with Haley, so I didn't have to go pick her back up. I did. Yeah, I was supposed to.
And then you were like, hey, we have a fire. Can you please take her?
So I reached out to my ex-wife and she helped out by taking Haley for the night.
Thank you.
And so she went and picked up
my
Haley.
ex was in another state, so I knew I couldn't do that. But I did ask, and I said, when are you getting back? And I filled him in, and he was actually getting home a day earlier than I anticipated.
The next day.
So I only had really the first night to try to hold my shit together. And then the second night I said, I know you're landing today. I said, could you please, I'm extremely overwhelmed. And
I didn't have a full shift that I had to work that night. It was just tactical training. And before I was off the roof, I had 3 deputies, 2 sergeants from my department, all calling me or texting me asking if everything's okay, what support we needed. As the fire department told me that everything was extinguished, I called my chief and explained what was going on at the house, and he's like, no need to come in tonight. So it was really nice having an overwhelming support group.
And so when I picked my son up, I've already said I don't believe in shielding him from situations. I do believe in shielding him from my big emotions if I'm having big negative ones. In this moment, I just said, I think I started crying, and he was like, Mommy, why are you crying? I said, Mommy's just really stressed out. I said, because of the fire. And so then I started to explain what happened, and he's not old enough to fully understand, but I showed him the videos and the pictures that I took to kind of have him grasp why we weren't going to be going home that night. And he seemed pretty cool. He didn't cry. He was like, whoa. And then when he FaceTimed his dad that night, he's like, there's a hole in the ceiling. He actually, I think he thought it was cool. That night in bed, did you notice anything? Were you chilling, just no adrenaline, or were you twitching like I was?
So you were You were spazzing through most of the day, which is fine.
I take offense to that.
That's your reaction. And you're like, I gotta get this. I gotta get this. I gotta go on. And you're like, and I'm like, you need to fucking breathe. You need to fuck off. I'm like, wow. But I don't hold it against you. Yeah. So you went to pick up Hendrix and drop off stuff here and kind of get the ball rolling with moving out. And Spearfish Electric arrived at the house, and I showed him everything, and he said, dude, 90% of people who call and say there was an electrical fire,
They're wrong.
It's never an electric fire. He said, this is an electric fire, and let me show you why. And I mean, he knew immediately just by looking at the fan box, it was wired improperly.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, and somebody signed off on it twice.
Yeah. And I just
3
think
times.
of like in that moment, it put like how this could have happened at night. This could have happened when they were brushing their teeth before bed. We all are asleep for 2 hours. We didn't smell the smoke. So how long do you think it would have taken? I'm guessing like it would have kept burning. It probably would have maybe dropped part of the ceiling into the house, and then we would have heard that and then had all the smoke coming in, and then you're scrambling just to get out alive.
Right.
And that's just, to me, it still gives me goosebumps. Like how lucky we were to not only have it happen during the day, but for us to not leave. I was about to take Jackson, and then your poor Kona would have been in the house alone.
Yeah.
Turning into a barbecue dog.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy. And so in these moments, you did meet up with your daughter, and you did tell her what happened. What did you tell her?
Yeah. So after Spearfish Electric was finished, I left and had my truck full of stuff to bring up here. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop through town, because I had told her that day, like, I'm gonna pick you up early so we can hang out. And she was excited about it. And so I got there, and she's like, Dad, you weren't early. And I'm like, I know, baby, Mom's going to pick you up today because there was a problem at the house. And I was thinking in my head, like, I said a problem at the house, and I'm trying to think of how to say it. And she's like, what happened? And I said, there's a fire. And she's like, oh no. And she started crying, and she said, did my room burn? And I said, no, baby, your room's fine. And she goes, what about Hendrix's room?
And all his toys.
Yeah.
Our toys.
All of our toys are okay. And I'm like, yeah, the house is fine. It's just the bathroom and Liv's office.
And we can't live in it for a while.
Yeah. And she goes, okay.
And then just cried though.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
And then I checked in with my ex a couple hours later, and she said she was fine, her normal self. I got up here with all the rest of the stuff, like the emergency grab stuff, pull in the driveway, start offloading it. And I think that was when it all kind of hit me, and I was like, oh shit. So I made a whiskey drink. Made a stiff whiskey drink.
Yeah, and you're like, you've dealt with like very stressful, high stress situations since you were young.
Yeah.
Like 18, 19.
Yeah.
So there was one moment we were up here, and everything's just out. Like, we used the milk crates and old boxes that we were going to use for, bonfires, and we used everything that we had to try to get our belongings out. I just looked at you, and like I said out loud, I was like, are you freaking out right now? And you're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do you need a hug? And you're like, yeah. And you're like, that's all I need. I said, me too. So in moments like this now, I know that he needs what I need. It's like the perfect situation. Yeah. Because imagine what it is like in a relationship where you need closeness and the other person's like, ew. Like you being that way is gross.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into details on it, but I had a fire when I was younger in Afghanistan, and our entire tent that we were living in, we lived in a GP tent, General Pop tent. It's like a creosote soaked tent. They soak it in creosote so that it repels water. But it caught fire, and it ignited. I mean, in like 6 seconds, the whole thing was gone. 16 of us were in that tent, and it burned it all. all of our sleeping bags, all of our
Everything.
clothes,
Your
everything we
computer.
had, my computer, my hard drive, my camera,
Yep.
everything. So I was kind of in that headspace when you asked me if I'm freaking out, and I'm
Yep.
like, yeah.
Yeah, it's I never thought that my fire experience really impacted me. Like, I remember it, and I'm really proud of my family for saving 3 horses. You call it a herd of goats? I herded goats with local police officers because they were up on the highway, and we herded them down and we put them in an enclosure. And when we checked on them the next morning, the whole enclosure we put them in was burning, and they were all in one corner on top of each other trying not to get burned. But like in this current situation, it stirred all that up in the trauma way, in like the adrenaline way.
Yeah.
And so we both were losing our shit. And I think we both did really good at identifying it and holding each other and being like, hey, come back to the present. Like, you're here with me. I'm still struggling. You know, I like this morning, he's like, how are you? And I'm like, he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, same stuff. And, you know, it's little things now. Like, I was cooking and I went to reach for where our stuff is, but we're not in our kitchen. I'm going to cry. It's stupid stuff like that. And, you know, we were going to host Thanksgiving, and obviously we didn't.
Right.
And that's not a big deal because Thanksgiving is stressful and my mom likes to cook anyway. But, you know, it's like those little things that just keep reminding you like you're not home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a familiar home, but it's not our home. So
Yeah.
everything's a little out of place.
And the
But
kids are, you know, sharing a bedroom. It's jolting to everything. It's jolting to every part of your life if something happens like this. But at least we made jokes right away. Like,
right, yeah.
while I'm outside, I'm standing, like, just pacing, waiting to see what's going on in my house. And I said, my sister's been getting all the attention because she was in the hospital. And I said, well, I got a little jealous, so I needed some of that attention. And my mom just started laughing. She's like, oh, at least you can joke about it.
Right.
And then we got into the house right after everyone left, and the house has insulation and water everywhere. And you just throw this freaking kitchen towel that I bought for his son as a housewarming gift because he got his first apartment.
Yeah.
And it says, at least nothing caught on fire. And then underneath it says yet. And it's got like a little drawing of a flame.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me when I threw it at you. I said, this is your fault, and I chucked it at you.
You did. Yeah, I heard that. And I caught it, and I'm like, I know I thought of that, you little asshole. And so I took a picture of the towel with the fire chief's business card right next to it as I posted about it, sharing with people who were asking what the hell's going on. I added that as some humor. Like, we're okay. We're shook up, but we're okay.
Yeah, we got good support from our neighbors. Some of them we don't really talk to that much, but they stop us and ask if everything's okay. So back to what happened. The next morning, I met up with the fire restoration company. You know, he said, dude, you guys are so lucky. This is like the cleanest fire I've seen in a long time. He goes, there's still a lot of cleanup that's got to be done, but it's the cleanest fire I've seen.
I was about to film for the Art of Song promotional footage, and I'm like mentally in that, and I'm like hopeful. I'm like, oh, Pat's with the fire restoration guy. You know, he's going to tell us you're really lucky, and, you know, you guys can be back in the house in a few days. And I'm waiting and waiting, and I finally get the call from you, and you're like, yeah, he says like it's going to be weeks or months.
Yeah.
And I just started crying. I was just hoping maybe Christmas because I was just excited. It's like last year, sure, we lived in the house, but like this is our first time where we're settled. We're not unpacking.
Right.
And those expectations that we have, they can lead to such disappointment. And in this situation, yes, I was expecting to celebrate freaking Christmas at my house, but we can bring the Christmas tree here. Yeah. We can bring more shit here. We can bring the whole damn house here and just move again.
No.
Yeah, I know. God.
Yeah, my tools are not moving again.
I want to talk about how we have helped each other stay positive and move forward in something like this. The first thing that I think helped me was getting a game plan. I need a game plan. So when that fire restoration guy came and said you can't move back in for a while, I'm like, okay, well, what? I said, I'm a steps person. So like, what can we do to help and get this going? And so what do we do?
Yeah.
I don't
So
remember anymore.
so when I met with the fire restoration dude, he was a super helpful guy, but he's like, yeah, probably 3 to 5 months. And I'm like, no way, dude. And he goes, well, I'm short staffed, I'm booked out, whatnot.
You're
And
like, I'm a contractor.
yeah, I was like, dude, I got a state contracting license. And he's like, if you can demo this out and get rid of all this so that we can inspect the ceilings, it'll streamline the process by like 4 weeks. Then he said, how soon can you have this demoed? And I said, 4 hours. And he goes, seriously? And I said, 4 hours. And he's like, okay, I'll be back on Monday. I texted him on Saturday and said it's done.
Yeah. And I helped by, just being the one to clean up and put it in the dump. Oh, as soon as the claim was filed, I immediately called for a dumpster and said, like, how fast can I get it here? So we just quickly, started the process. So if you ever have insurance situations and claims, maybe it's hail or it could be a fire, you immediately want to file the claim with the insurance. And then I upfront asked him, I said, can I get a dumpster now? And he's like, yeah, like just start saving invoices. So I now have a folder that I'll start using to save invoices for the new vanity, a new toilet, everything that we need that's new. And I immediately told the contractor that we had out 48 hours prior for a remodel of that exact area of the house. I said, hey, guess what? This is going to be not a 2026 project. It's going to be right now. So we start scrambling, trying to find another contractor. And so that was the hardest part, is finding a contractor.
Yeah. And then our buddy Ron reached out and he's like, hey, I had an opening. We were like,
yeah,
what?
I had a cancellation. I didn't even ask him because he's so busy always with projects. And he's like, hey, I had 2 projects fall through. I can potentially work on your house. I'm like, oh my God. And I do notice that in situations like this, there are plenty of moments where the stars align like that.
Yeah.
Like, we are so fortunate that for a fire to be burning as long as it did, it very minimal damage.
Yeah.
The insulation and the fact that it had really no air circulation was the reason why the house didn't go. So if you ever have a fire and you know that it's maybe in your attic, don't go opening up all
Nothing.
your
Close everything.
Close your doors, cut off any air. It reminds me of that old movie Backdraft.
That's
Do you
what
remember
it
that?
is. That's why.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But it reminds me. That's it. I remember that movie when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
And that just kind of stuck with me, is do not give the flame oxygen. Try to basically suffocate it.
Mm-hmm.
We had 3 fire extinguishers in the house, so we at least have plenty of those. So we were somewhat prepared. You knew to shut the power off and the generator. And then I just started clearing things out of the way because I knew they have their big suits, and trying to make it easy for them to get to the fire. Silver lining, we have a house. We were looking at remodeling this exact part of the house. We weren't looking at it right now in our budget, but hey, shit happens. So we will adapt. We will make it work. I was very upfront with the insurance. I said, like, what are you going to cover? They said, we will bring it back to what it was. I said,
Right.
Perfect, because we were planning on remodeling this part of the house next year, but obviously now we're going to do it now. And so he said, yeah, we'll give you the amount of money that you need to put it back to the way it was, and then you can use that towards the remodel. And my way of viewing that is, it's kind of like we got our remodel at a discount, and we don't necessarily need to live in all of the mess and all the dust. So yes, I'm not super stoked to not be in our house, but we didn't have any other choice.
Silver lining for me was nothing was permanently destroyed. The dogs got out. None of our belongings burned. So
we're really lucky.
Yeah, we got really lucky. And then we have just an unbelievable support group that we're able to lean on, sometimes for just an ear and sometimes for, an extra vehicle to load some belongings.
My family has always been so helpful in situations like this.
And I remember your dad texted me and he said, how bad is it? Do I need to come down there? And I said, I don't know if you're going to be able to get up here because they blocked the roads. And
he was in his studio in Deadwood painting.
Yeah, 2 or 3 minutes later, he texted me again and he said, I just saw a helicopter fly over. Fuck that, I'm on my way. He's like, I can't paint a little fucking flower while my daughter's house is on fire.
I know. My mom, I guess, said like, I'm going to Olivia's. Her house is on fire, and he's like, "What?" And she goes, "It's fine. Like, you do your thing," because he's always working. And he said he put his apron on and he stood in front of his easel and he said, "Fuck that."
Uh,
He's like, "I'm not staying here."
yeah, he said he started a line on a leaf, and he's like, yeah, I can't do this.
No. And I'm really glad that he showed up. So I have a couple questions that I want you to answer in more words than 2.
Okay.
Okay? All right. What was the hardest part about just being relocated for you?
The hardest part of all of this has been the compounding events for me. Just over a year's time frame. Finalized divorce. I moved from my home to an apartment into our home together, and then now I'm relocating again. So that was a issue in my head. Like, God, dude, like, why can't I just be settled? And that's really all I want is a place to call home and feel like I'm at home. And that's how it felt and how it does feel in our home. And getting uprooted again, it's like, come on, man. But what was your question again?
What was the hardest part about being relocated during this whole situation?
Just for me, it was my own mental state.
What was the hardest part?
Yeah.
Was your mental state?
Yeah, dealing with like my own head.
What do you mean?
Getting out of my head because I was, like, fuck, here we go again. We're fucking uprooted. We're leaving. We're packing all this shit. We're not going to be able to move back in for X amount of time. We got to move all of our shit out of this house into this house. And I'm like, God, this is.
The hardest part was basically just the moving, being uprooted again.
Accepting that we don't have control over it and we have to be uprooted again.
The hardest part for me was packing up Hendrix's room. It made me really sad because, like, I struggle with my family, like mom and dad having 2 homes and him being split between 2 homes. And so then I'm packing up his things in his cute little room that he loves. Like, he's always playing in there. So is Haley. And, I'm going through there with shoes on in the house and it smells and I'm just getting all of his toys. And the first, I'd say 6 days, 7, still, every time I go to the house, I cry at least once. And yeah, so I remember doing that in my house when we had to evacuate. It was, I was 17, but I just remember being like, but I don't want to leave. And so then I'm doing it to my 4-year-old, and that was the hardest thing for me. It sucked. Next question. What actually matters in an emergency?
You can replace things, things and stuff is what I call it. All of the personal belongings that you think is important is not. It's the people you're with, and it's
humbling.
And it's the people you're with, and it's the key items that you need to get out. Birth certificates, social security cards, things that, all of that stuff, back in the day, it's like, you got to get that out. You just go to Vital Records check and get a new one for $12. It's not a big deal. Like, you don't need to go deep diving, but maybe getting things that are irreplaceable.
What's irreplaceable to you? What would you have grabbed if the house was starting? We knew it was gone. It was going. What would you have grabbed?
My Harley. I'm kidding. I would have grabbed our 2 safes.
How would you have grabbed that huge ass thing?
How do you think it got there?
I don't know.
I picked it up and took. Yeah. I would have grabbed our 2 safes, get our guns out, get our documents out, even though I just said they're replaceable. If you have the time to get it, get it.
You wouldn't have grabbed any of your Marines, like your headshot, your uniform?
No, last thing on my mind. Inside the safe is all my military documents, the irreplaceable documents.
Yeah. I just thought my camera stuff, the amount of money into all that, and how easy it would have been for me to grab. I have 2 gear bags. I would have grabbed those, and I would have grabbed both my hard drives. And then, you know what made me cry one time we were here unloading? I looked in the closet, and you had the Little Mermaid book and Beauty and the Beast book. Those were gifts that my grandma gave me, and my grandma died in 2004.
Right.
And I saw those sitting on the shelf, and I just started crying because I was like, oh my God, like those notes that I still lovingly look at. And I remember her, you know, because of things when I see her handwriting, and I saw those sitting on the shelf, and it's just like waterworks immediately. Right. Like it just hits you in waves, situations like this. For me, what actually matters in an emergency is, you know, the loved ones, the beings, the dogs, the cats, us. We were all alive, but also on another aspect, what actually matters in an emergency is like communication and teamwork. So you saying, hey, like I'm going to go, you know, dump the breakers. And so I unplugged my computer. We did stuff together in that situation.
Yeah, so to unplug all your important shit, I'm going to dump the breakers.
Yeah. So in an emergency, I think having a plan, even if it's a loose plan, is really, I think, key. We had started the days before this, started talking about fire safety for wildfires. So I think we should still talk about stuff like that. Like have...
we're not even close to being done.
What do you mean?
We're going to have so much work.
I meant wildfire for like having like a protocol.
Yeah, I'm talking like around our property. We're going to have a lot of work. And then, we'll have like go bags and, you know, escape tools and stuff like that.
Yeah. You know, you don't think it's going to happen. We didn't think it was going to happen. And then it fucking does. Yeah. Like it does in a second. And you need to really think ahead. That's what I would like to emphasize to anybody listening. You have to just be prepared, sound paranoid to your friends and your family, but you'll be the one that has all your shit or is going to be alive if something happens like this to you.
Yeah.
Next question. What does home for the holidays mean to you now?
I mean, for me, that sounds robotic question, like a robotic answer, but for me, I haven't felt like I've had a home in a long time. So home for the holidays has always been for me just the people that I love and the people I'm around makes it home. It doesn't really matter to me where the location is. You know, some years it was in California, some years it was in New Mexico, some years it was in Iraq. It didn't matter where the location was. So home for the holidays for me has just never been a
place, but people.
Yeah, it's always been about the people, not about the location. So so that is a pretty easy adversity for me to navigate.
Yeah. I mean, most of my holidays have been celebrated normally at grandma, grandpa's, like my parents' house.
Right.
Having my own home for, you know, long time now, I've always enjoyed decorating the house and making it cheerful because that was a memory that I have always had from my mom doing that and my grandma doing that. So it was like a thing, like we would help decorate the tree and we would make the house feel Christmassy. And I told him, I said, I think we're probably going to do it like after Thanksgiving. And I was already like planning and I was getting excited because I like the feeling of Christmas. I love it's cheerful. I love, you know, the Christmas music and baking cookies and the memories I have as a child. So we'll have to kind of shift that. I will bring some stuff here. I'm sorry, but
That's
it's
fine.
not.
No.
It's a couple
totes.
I was
thinking we can maybe get some wrapping paper and wrap all the art.
Yeah, no, we're not going to waste wrapping paper. But I do want to like bake cookies and, you know, spend some time in other ways. So in this home, because it's not home, I might not decorate as much, but I'm going to maybe emphasize more on the traditions. So like we were going to do the whole elf on a shelf. we should still do that here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have
So good. I was wondering, how are we maintaining normalcy for the kids?
I don't know. I'm very good at suppressing.
Yeah, it's not good.
But I don't suppress for myself. I just, if I'm upset over, so you just said you do it yourself.
I know.
If
But
I'm
it's not good.
if I'm feeling an emotion, I have always suppressed it so that my kids don't see me in that moment. Especially when they're at a young age.
Yeah.
You know,
So
and
how
then
do you maintain normalcy? You're suppressing to feel normal?
with the kids, no, I just do the same routine. Like, all right, nothing's changed. We're just in a different place. And they understand, both of them understand that it's temporary. You know,
Yeah.
Hendrix calls our home by the street address, you know, and Haley calls it home and then calls this Scott and Sharon's.
Yeah. So you're saying that by maintaining normalcy, you're just keeping with the routine, kind of?
Yeah. I stick to a routine,
Yeah.
and the more normal I can make it for them, the more I feel normal.
Yeah, right.
Because I can suppress my own. If it was just you and I and we had to come here, I don't think it would be as big of a mental kick in the face as it is, because we don't have to shuffle the kids around and worry about, you know,
making them feel
getting a
comfortable.
corner set up for them to have toys and coloring books and
Yeah.
you know
what I
entertainment.
noticed when I did that? I noticed that I was focused on the kids.
Yeah.
Like as soon as we got here, I immediately created a play corner with all their toys. And I noticed it might be a good thing. All their toys are out together instead of in each other's rooms. So it's kind of forcing them to share more. I feel like with setting up that corner, I needed that more than I think they needed that. I needed to know that our kids had some normalcy,
Had a space,
had their own play area. Like I think to maintain normalcy for the kids, I feel like I needed that more mentally for me to not lose my mind. Don't you think? I was like freaking out still, and I was like, okay, like I need some order. I need order in my life and this situation. So I'm going to just focus on what I know I can do. And I know I can make the kids a happy little corner.
Yeah.
So that's what I needed. So what are our plans now for the holidays? Do we have new ones?
Yeah.
What are well, yeah, I don't even know. We haven't even really thought about it.
Playing it by ear. I mean, there's a possibility we could still be in before Christmas, but if we were in before Christmas, it would be
in
like
shambles.
a very yeah.
Which honestly, I've lived in. I'm okay with. But yeah, I guess we'll have to assess.
Yeah.
Because in 1 week, we've done so much. We have literally done things and completed tasks in this whole fire situation that I think most people would take a month to complete.
Yeah, we did it in like 2 days.
Yeah.
With my schedule, knowing that, all right, I got 3 days off, it was like, I'm getting it all done. And there was a point, I don't remember which day it was, but I was bickering and I was hurrying out the door. And we just had like a disconnect that morning. And I was halfway to the house and I texted you. I was like, hey, sorry to leave abruptly, but I want to get this done. And you're like, no, I get it. And that set me at ease. Like, all right, she knows that I'm not mad at her. I'm just trying to get the fuck out of this house so that I could go to our house and get shit done. When you are presented with a hardship and it knocks you down and you fall, nobody remembers the fall. What they remember is how you responded to it. So if you are unwilling to stand back up on your own 2 feet because of a hardship, then you're at fault for the state that you're in. Don't let your hardships just ruin you. And I'm wearing this shirt today specifically for the episode because it's episode 22. And I just want to remind people of the veterans that are struggling mentally, and they have been faced with unthinkable hardship and adversity that most of society will never understand. And 22 veterans a day still take their own life. So don't let your hardship defeat you as a person because you think that you're alone and you can't get through it. You know, hopefully this episode gave you some tips and pointers to navigate through your hardship, and hopefully it gave you some tips and pointers to deal with a fire in the event that you ever have to deal with one. I hope not, but in the event that you do have to deal with one, the character of an individual is the only thing that they leave life with. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Very good words about just hardship in general. I do like the part where you said, don't let hardship define your character and let other people kind of remember you as this negative person. And I know that I have had those moments throughout this, 10 days. And then there's other moments where you're like, hi, you're being silly. Like, yeah, like I have ups and downs, and I think it's okay to have ups and downs. Life is not going to be all calm and steady. And when you look at this being calm and steady, I view it as a flat line, like you're dead. So life is meant to have hardship and great moments of joy and celebration. So when we get back in the house, I plan to fully have a party with the people that have helped us and shown up for us in ways that others have not.
Yeah, for sure.
So we will celebrate. They will have to put me to bed because I'll be partying so hard to be back in my home. So in this situation, this episode, we wanted to share a hardship that we are actively navigating, how we are doing as parents in this situation, and how we're doing as a couple. I think we're actually doing pretty well through this as a couple. We both need closeness. We both ask, like, what do you need when you're struggling? And we both need the same thing. So that makes it so easy. But if your partner needs something else, something that's foreign to you, that's going to be a little tougher. We hope that us sharing our current situation with you has inspired you and also made you look at your life and been like, wow, I am really blessed right now to be celebrating the holidays in my home. And you're not uprooted, because it is not a fun situation. But like I said in our post, we could be in a hotel with lumpy pillows and stiff sheets. So we are very blessed, and we're blessed to have you as listeners. So thank you again for being a part of our community.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Subscribe, like, share, and namaste.